Well, we really wouldn't be a Realcomm if we didn't get a little bit of information from Cisco, and I'm delighted to have their Vice President of Business Transformation, Huijbregts. How are you? Welcome to Conference Live.
I'm good. Nice to meet you, Jerry.
Nice to meet you as well. What is new? What is exciting? And what is going on here at Realcomm 2013 for Cisco?
Well, first, thanks for having me here.
Sure.
Cisco has been a partner of Realcomm since its beginnings almost, and we have been here very actively for maybe the first 7, 8 years. Got very interested in the whole concept of smarter and intelligent buildings because everything kind of boils down to convergence and how networks become the fourth utility of our built environment. We then went a little bit quiet. We had to regroup and rethink what our play really is.
Yep.
And we kind of went back to our roots, and that is looking at what we are good at, and that is building networks, looking at securing those networks, looking at providing services on the networks like energy management, collaboration, data centers, and looking at positioning really us into this marketplace. And the way then to do that is to partner more actively with companies that do everything else, from the automation to the analytics side. So we've been very active in building out this ecosystem, all with the premise of what we call the Internet of Everything. And we're seeing a massive acceleration of this. Today there's about 10 billion devices connected, smart objects connected to the Internet. In 2020, it's expected to be over 50 billion smart objects, and a lot of them is going to happen in this industry. It's light fixtures, air conditioning, handlers, security systems, fire extinguishers, all are going to be nodes on this kind of throbbing network of connections, and it's really where we now look at how do we connect people with things, all these things in buildings, with processes and with data, and that is what we believe is the Internet of Everything. That's going to be, we think, the engine for transforming this industry.
Why does Cisco do that better than others?
We've kind of been around as long as the Internet existed. Some of our founders were the first people to figure out how to move bits and bytes around and have different protocols and different people communicate differently. We have grown a very broad portfolio around all the technologies that are relevant to create this fourth utility. Mobility, Wi-Fi, security, routing, switching. We're one of the very few companies that have that very holistic approach. So surely you can buy bits and pieces from different point solutions, but then it has to be cobbled somewhere together.
Yes.
Now the network is becoming so strategically relevant in buildings, and it's not just to manage the systems in buildings, but it's also to increase the productivity of those that work in buildings, that we need to start to think this as truly a very cohesive, holistic design architecture that is going to be running everything that's happening in buildings. And we like to believe that from a point solutions, we're at the top of our game. We're a market leader in almost all of the product families that we bring to the table and have the ability to architecture together. And then with that, we have built a culture of partnering. So our partnerships with the Honeywells and the Johnson Controls and the construction industry and the real estate industry, I think, has put us in a place where we can create a pivotal role to help change this market.
Looking into the future 3 years, what is Cisco doing? Where is it leading the way?
Lots of different areas. We are very focused on changing how people use buildings through mobility, through the use of video, collaboration. If we see that change faster, which it is the case, we need to see buildings respond to that. We cannot build buildings the same way we did 30 years ago if we know that what happens in those buildings is dramatically changing.
Right.
And so our play on the building side is now how do we become an active participant in this ecosystem of all the people that you have here to really kind of rethink the future of networked buildings. Buildings will be networked, they'll be managed by the cloud. It's about big data, it's about analytics. We think that this industry could look very different. I don't think it's in 3 years. I unfortunately think it's taking longer, but that's surely by the nature of this industry. But I think clearly what you see here today, the change is happening, and the appetite, the will to change is apparent.
Is there one particular success story we can point out? Someone here who's at the conference, or a client that you particularly feel that Cisco has aided in the last year or so that really is a shining example of what Cisco can do for a company?
Yeah, I'll get back to on the client. On the solutions, I actually think it's a cross-section of a lot of the people you have here.
Yes.
This is a very vivid fabric of best-of-breed analytics and applications and the edge, if you will. So I think we're seeing tremendous progress in building analytics and the whole on the data side, moving from data visualization to being more proactive, condition-based, and automated building controls. On the customer side, I mean, we just looked at the use case, the showcase, and there's a lot of great examples. From where I am at in Toronto, we're partnering with one of the largest real estate landlords there. We actually picked up a new space in one of their buildings, about 100,000 feet. For the reason is that it is one of the most intelligent buildings, and our lease is even designed around it. Like, we will have access in real time to all information and the ability to control our own environments, which is not really done in the commercial building space. So it's not just only what they're building, but it's their whole business model and their leasing structure around it is going to, I think, show true transformation.
If someone is resistant to taking on the leap of this new technology, to smart buildings, smart grids, what's the easiest entrance point? What's the lowest hanging fruit for them to start to get involved?
I think one that has crossed the chasm, if you will, is security. Every building owner is seeking to upgrade its security system, video surveillance access. That world from the edge has already moved to IP video surveillance. That we find often is kind of the wedge to get in. A network has to be built, and then it becomes easier to layer on other things. Other one is energy, and I don't want to say energy is kind of beaten to death. I think it's still a very important one.
Yes.
But I think if a landlord starts to make its connection between what is possible and the productivity of its tenants, tying it to the business of people that work in those buildings, and that can be a hospital and looking at the nurses and the medical care, or a school, how we teach, and an office, how we work, I think that's where the low-hanging fruit really is, because that's what really is going to matter for our tenants and the users.
So security and energy.
I think from a building automation perspective, those are, I think, the low-hanging fruits. It's there.
If someone wants to get an introduction to what Cisco does, how Cisco does it, interface with you and the company, what's the best way to do that?
Well, the previous interviewer, you asked about Twitter account. We do tweet. Our Twitter handle is Cisco, SCRE, stands for Smart Connected Real Estate, Cisco SCRE. We keep everyone rather informed about new announcements and new opportunities, new projects, new accounts. We do have a website which is linked from there, where we show videos of real case studies. It's one thing to show our technologies, it's another thing to actually show projects and talk about customers and have customers speak about how this has impacted their business.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you so much, Rick, for coming on and talking to us about Cisco, and I wish you a great rest of the conference. I hope we'll get to catch up with you again later on in this year.
We certainly will. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Some pretty interesting stuff from Cisco, who has been a Realcomm partner for many, many years, and we're delighted to have you.